Hi, my name's Hal Gumbert with Camp Software, and I'd like to show you something that Doug Dyskwielinska and I came up with in order to get around having unstored fields. We've run across many occasions now, through our development over the years, and a lot of times there are cases where we need data to be in another place in an unstored format. For instance, we have a contacts table here, and we're showing a related value in another table called contacts related. So these fields are coming from contacts, and these are coming from contacts related. So in this case, we wanted the person's first name on the contacts table to be stored in the other table as a stored value, not unstored. And we need this for several purposes, mostly for reports and relationships. Many times, if you have unstored values, your finds and your sorts will be so slow that it's just takes a ridiculous amount of time. And also for relationships, a lot of times you can't build a relationship on an unstored value. So we first tried using script triggers. So on our layouts, we would have a trigger on the field that the person was typing into, and then when they left the field, we'd have it go and run a script, and that would go and update that field. So that worked okay, but the problem was we had to go into multiple layouts and set those triggers. And if we happen to copy-paste that field, we might accidentally leave the trigger on it. We may put the field somewhere else and not put the trigger on it, and it was just really a pain in the neck. So we came up with this technique to basically use FileMaker SQL, but we're using a plugin. We're using the base elements plugin, and the reason we need the base elements plugin, and this would work with any SQL plugin, is so that we can use inserts, updates, and deletes, because the FileMaker execute SQL only allows us to do selects. So what we end up having is a system where we can go ahead and just type. The other issue is flicker, like running that script when we need to open up a new window and jumping to another layout. Like you see this kind of flicker on the screen, and this method gets around all that. So if I do change Doug to Douglas and then just click out of the field, it set the other field in the other table to whatever that value was. And if I show you in the relationships, in the contacts table, we have a field called first. That's the first name. And we're using the auto enter calculate. And on the other side, on the contacts related table, we have a name first. And that's the field that we're doing there. So I can actually bring up that other table, bring it up right here side by side, and this is the real field on the other side, on the related table. So I can type in Doug, click out, and it automatically updates the other side. Now these fields do not have to be on the layout. And we have one more example. Like for instance, we needed to be able to put people's names on imagine a home screen. We wanted to be able to come to the home screen and type in the new name, and then have it update in these other tables. Other table actually. So there were actually some problems we came across. At first we were doing, like, if it doesn't exist on the other side, just have it create it. So I'm going to make a new record. I'm going to type in Hal, and that automatically puts in the related record on the other side. And we're doing that through the custom function that we'll show you in a little bit. I'll type in my last name. The really neat thing about this is I can come in here and, just like I did for Doug, change it to Harold, and bam, it switches it. If I go back to Hal, it goes back, kind of obviously, but if I delete the entry over here, I can have it clear out these values. Actually, you'll see up here it cleared it out. I'll put it back in, I'll type in Hal. It created the record, and if I take out the value, it can do deletes. So in those cases where you want the other value to go away, you have that control. I can do it here. Now, the really neat thing about this is In my related table, if I cleared out the first name here, I did not want it to delete the home record. It just simply clears out the record. So you have total control over what gets removed where. It's really, really, really neat. So the way it works is on your field, under calculated value, we have a custom function. And the name is really long because what we're trying to do is name all of our custom functions that use plugins in such a way so that if we ever had to change to another plugin, it'd be really easy to do so. So we call our custom functions that use plugins extensions.baseElements, which is the plugin we're using, and then the name of it. We're calling this RelatedFieldUpdater because what we're really trying to do is we're trying to update a related field. So we pass in, and we have the parameters right here. So we pass in the value of what the user just typed in, and then we type in the ID that we use for the relationship with the other table. So over on this table, we're using contact IDs. So this field value is what the user types in, and this relationship key is the relationship key on the table where the user typed it in. Then we pass in the name of the field on the other side. So over on contacts related, we have name first. So that just passes in the name of the field that we want to update. Then we have, and this is really long, this is the related relationship key field name. So basically it's the other side of the relationship. So we're using this foreign key, contact ID foreign key. So we pass in the name of that field using getFieldName. Then finally we pass in the action. What do we want the other side to do when we change the value on the other side? So here we're passing in update. So if somebody changes the name, we want it to update. If the record's not on the other side, we want it to go create it. So that's an insert. And if they clear the field out, like getting rid of the name entirely by deleting the name of the field, we have it do delete. So this is on our contacts table. So if we cancel this out and switch over to contacts related and go to the name first on the other side and look at that calculation, it's very, very, very similar. So this is the name of the field that the user typed in on the related side. This is the ID used in the relationships on this side, on the contacts related side. We pop in the name, get field name, get the name of the field that we want to update on the other side. We pop in the name of the relationship on the other side, the key on the other side. And in this case, since if we cleared out the person's name on the related record, we did not want it to delete the record on the other side or create a record. So we simply said update. So what this does, you can do this without a custom function, but the reason we use the custom function is because we didn't want to have to include all this code. It's quite a bit in the calculation. You can see it goes on for a bit, but I'll walk through it real quick. So first we have the name of our function. We explain all the pieces, that I just talked about. And then we get into the let statement. So right off the bat, these several items basically take the parameters that come in and we massage them as we need. For instance, when we pass in the name of the related field name, we're basically grabbing that field name and dropping off the table occurrence name so that we just get the field name. And then we quote it. We need it in quotes for the SQL function. So that's what the three of these do. They basically take the name of the field and put it in quotes so that we can pass it as a properly quoted item, in the SQL statement. And then if whatever you typed into the action, if you typed in update, insert, and all that, we have a little variable that tells us whether or not those were in there. And then we created a little variable to store single quotes. So once that's all set up, we have all of our variables ready. We create an SQL statement to go over and get the related ID. So we're taking the relationship key we're grabbing that from the related table where the related key is equal to the relationship key. So basically we're going over to the other table and querying to see if there's a record over there. And when we run the SQL statement using the base elements plugin, we get that into this ID related field. And then we did not want to update the field on the other side if it was already the same. So if for some reason if somebody typed in or pasted in the exact same value, this will tell us the name of that value so we can test for it later. So then we have a big case statement to determine what to do, like how we want to do the update. So we have some rules here. So we want to update the record on the other side if that record exists and the field has a value that you just typed in. So our test is if the action included update and the related ID, so the ID on the other side is not empty, and which means there's a record on the other side, and the field that the user just typed in is not empty, and the value on the other side is not the same as the field in our field, which means they're not the same field, not equal to the same thing. So if it was Hal and Hal, it would not do the update. If it was Hal and Harold, it would. So this is the SQL statement. So we do update related table name. So that's the table name on the other side. Whether it depends on what table you're currently on, but it's the related table name, just as it says. And we're saying set the related field name to equal the field value. And then we're saying where the related relationship key equals the relationship key. And that's all it does. So basically there's an SQL statement and it says update the field on the other side where my keys match. This is also mostly designed if there's one related record on the other side. So if you had multiple related records, I believe this still would work, but it would update all the records. We haven't tested for that though. So next, if the record isn't on the other side, we need to create a record. And this is why actually for every one of these we need a plugin, because the FileMaker Execute SQL does not allow updates, inserts, or deletes. So for the insert, we say, okay, if the user wants us to create a record on the other side, and the ID on the other side was empty from our query, so that means the record does not exist over there, and the value that we're trying to put in is not empty. So if the user cleared out the name field, we don't want to go and create a record that has an empty field name. That's just kind of silly. So we make sure that it's not empty before we create the record. And the SQL is very similar. It's just an insert statement that says, hey, insert the key and the name, and based upon the relationship key and the value. So if somebody clears out the other side and we allow deletes through the action, we do pretty much the same thing. If the user allowed a delete and we have a related key, if it's not empty, and the value is empty, so if they cleared out the field and we just did one extra test, is the key for the relationship not empty? We didn't want to accidentally do a delete on and end up deleting wrong records or more records than we wanted to. Then we do a delete statement. So delete from the table where the key is equal to the key on the other side. So then we realized that, you know, in the case where you don't delete the record on the other side, we really should clear out the other side. So if I cleared out the name on one side, I should clear it out on the other side if we're not doing deletes. So that's the same, almost the same. It's kind of a mixture of the delete and the update at the same time. So if we're allowed to do updates and we're not allowed to do deletes, and the related ID is not empty, and the field value is empty, and the two values don't match, so meaning if the other side is not empty, then we do another update statement where we update it to the new value. The field value would actually be empty because we said it is empty. So if none of these are going on at all, then nothing happens, so we don't do a thing. And then finally at the very bottom, we don't return anything from this custom function. So I'm going to cancel this out and then just show one more thing that I didn't explain the first time. On the calculated value, essentially this is it, since this is just a commented line. So whatever the user types in, we're passing back into the field. So we're not affecting anything about what they actually typed. This is where you could do a trim, bold, whatever you needed to do to that field. And then this simply returns nothing. It does its thing and then returns nothing. So it's just works great, and it's totally avoided all of our problems with triggers and screen refresh, and it's just so far it's worked really good. So I just wanted to share that, and we'll post the custom function up and have fun with it. If you have any questions, let us know.